Hi there, James here. Hope you're having a great day. And in this video, we're going to talk about whether you should even bother to learn music theory, because a lot of musicians, a lot of guitar players just don't bother to learn it. Do they need to know it, or is it holding them up? Well, look, I'm going to nail my colours to the mast, as they say here, because I'm a real strong believer that guitar players should know at least the basic music theory. And in fact, I feel so strongly about this that I wrote a book on it, Noble Music Theory for Guitarists, which shows you 95% of the music theory you will ever need to know. It takes you through keys, scales, intervals, composing chord sequences, pentatonic scales, pretty much all the stuff you're ever going to need to know. Now there's some more stuff that isn't in there, but like I say, most of the stuff that you need to know is in this book, and there's been some players who have told me this has really changed their playing in a great way. So I'm going to post a link to this underneath and you can check that out and see what other people are saying about it. But anyway, let's move on to today's topic, which is, should you even bother learning music theory? Well, I think that if you're a guitar player and you just don't bother to learn any music theory, it's a little bit like going out in a canoe without a life jacket on when you can't swim. Now, you're going to be fine if you're just paddling along in the canoe and you don't fall out, but if you fall out, you're going to be absolutely stuck. And it's kind of like that if you're a musician. If you're just copying other people's music and playing along and you're playing everything note for note and it's all going fine, well, you'd probably be okay. But the minute you want to make up some of your own music, or work out someone else's song, or work out how to improvise over a set chord sequence, or change the song you're playing into another key so your singer can sing it, well, let me tell you that all that is a hell of a lot easier if you've got some basic music theory understanding. Now, I've been playing 25 years and I've taught 30,000 guitar lessons. I've spoken to a lot of people who are learning guitar, both beginner, intermediate and more advanced players. And I've also hung out with a lot of musicians. And I'm going to tell you that I have never in all my time met any musician who regretted understanding music so that they could play the way they want to do. But I've met loads of players who came to me for lessons because they were so completely confused that even if they could play well, they could play blues licks and they could do this and that, but they felt that they soon hit a ceiling and they just couldn't get beyond it because their lack of understanding was completely holding them up, okay? So I would really encourage you, if you're serious about improving your playing, to commit to learning some of the basic music theory topics. Now, I'm not saying here that you need to go and do a degree in music theory, because a lot of the things you study for a really high level, it's very specialized and only really relevant if you're playing quite advanced kinds of music. But, if you're playing your average pop, rock, country song, and even some basic jazz, well, there's not a lot that you need to know. Here are the kind of main topics I think you need to understand about. You should know about keys. Now, what are the chords in a key? What scale would you play over a chord sequence in a certain key? I mean, this is so essential because then you can actually piece together chords which are going to sound good together. And also, if you figure out the key of a song, much easier to work out, the chords to it and learn to play it quickly and easily without the whole thing just taking forever. You should know about intervals, basic intervals, things like major thirds, perfect fourths, all this kind of stuff. Sounds complicated, but it's actually really simple to learn. And this can really help you understand what other musicians are talking about, because this is some of the language they use. You should know what the major scale is, because it's kind of the building blocks, or the starting point for so much other theory. And I think then really just a bit of basic chord knowledge. We're talking about 5 or 6 topics, okay? When you understand these 5 or 6 topics well, it will have a really good effect on your playing, because this is the stuff that relates to all the sort of things that you're playing most of the time. So we're not talking about taking weeks or years here to get this knowledge. So I would encourage you to commit a bit to learning some music theory. And what you'll notice is then next time you're learning a piece of music, you're going to start to understand it in a different way, on a deeper level. And it also just gives us that confidence when we're working with other musicians that we understand what's going on. One of the reasons that most musicians, or a lot of guitar players, struggle learning theory is because a lot of the books and methods and things teach it in a strange order. They start off with very advanced. And it's just like learning anything. We need to start with the basics and then build up from there. Like, I know nothing about cars, but if someone was to explain to me how an engine works, they need to start with the very first point, like the fuel goes into here and it ignites and that just creates some energy, and then the energy goes to here and that triggers this, and so that it's all kind of built in a chain, like showing a step-by-step sort of system in the right order. So that can make learning music theory much easier if you do it all in the right order. Start right at the basics and work your way up from there. And like I said, there's about 5 or 6 topics which I think you need to know about, which can really help you to transform your playing. Now, of course, these 5 or 6 topics and more are in my book, Noble Music Theory for Guitar. I would encourage you to check that out. You don't have to buy it, of course, but you do click the link underneath if you're even remotely serious about learning about music theory, because I'm telling you, this will answer pretty much all your questions in probably the easiest, quickest way possible. And I know, because I was confused about all this stuff for absolutely years, okay? So I've been there myself. I think if you give that a chance, that's going to help your music theory a lot. And in a couple of months, you could really have a whole new understanding of how music works, and that's going to really help you grow as a musician. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I didn't go off on too much of a rant here, but it is something that I think you should consider if you want to improve your playing. Do make that commitment to get at least some understanding of how music works, this kind of thing, because I'm telling you, I've met so many players who have been confused. The minute they get a bit of simple knowledge, suddenly the fog clears and everything makes much more sense for them, and they can actually start to develop their playing so much more. So click the link if you're interested in the book. Thanks a lot for watching. Give this a bit of thought, and I'll see you next time.